What's going on, y'all? Chris with No Limit Squad, your personal Isochain and fitness vlogging channel. Today, we're gonna go over the 5 benefits of isometric training, all of which we can enjoy with this bad boy right here, the Isochain. We can get all 5 benefits from the Isochain. There's lots of advantages to this, to using the Isochain, and like I said in so many other videos before, isometrics are nothing new. They just weren't popular because, to be honest, there was no way to really accurately gauge it except for yielding isometrics with a dumbbell and just using progressive overload or heavier weights for yielding isometric style exercises. But now we can do overcoming as well as yielding on there as well. Let's look at it in detail. All right, so the first thing with the Isochain and isometric training in general is that isometric training develops strength better than dynamic movement. It stimulates strength a lot more efficiently, thereby making you stronger and quicker than other methods. An important rule to remember is repeated maximum contractions isometrically make us stronger. It makes us a lot stronger, actually. The more force that's generated, the stronger we get. It seems like it's a no-brainer, but I mean, it makes sense. If I just pulled on this and I just pulled a 68 and I pull on it again and I pull a 117 and then I just simply use progressive overload to try and get stronger each time through each 6-second contraction, it only makes sense that we're gonna get stronger. We're gonna develop that a lot faster. There's less DOMs, which we'll get into in a minute. But using the isometric really follows Hebb's rule. If you're not familiar with Hebb's rule, H-E-B-B, muscles that fire together, wire together. It has a lot to do with whole body tension. So if your body is used to recruiting X amount of muscle fibers for the movement, just like we get access to more strength. The more muscle fibers and more recruitment that's activated, the more strength we have to perform the movement with more power, with more force. In a video I made on isometric hypertrophy, which feels like it was forever ago already. I don't even think it was that long ago. We found out that isometrics recruit nearly 100% of a muscle's motor units. Isometrics coming in hot at 95% of motor units, concentric 89%, and eccentric 88%. And that's for developing strength. We're not talking about hypertrophy right now. It stimulates and develops strength a lot better than dynamic movement. Number 2, it's at least as effective as dynamic exercise for muscular growth. AKA, yes, you can get bigger with isometrics, and I have a whole video on that. So if you haven't seen, can you get big with isometrics in the Isochain? Here's a link right here. Go ahead and check it out. You will love it. It's chock full of information. One of the key principles I mentioned in that video, though, real quick, is that muscle fatigue is what triggers a hypertrophic response when training isometrically. Muscle fatigue, not load, not reps, muscle fatigue. Can you not move that sucker anymore after the workout? Is it dead? If it's dead, you're gonna grow in size. You're going to. So not load or volume, muscle fatigue. So isometric reps to failure, that nice 20 to 45 second rep range I talk about in the isometric hypertrophy video. That is what I'm talking about. So see this video right here to my right or left, whatever, and the timer going to 45. I mean, that is true hell. If you haven't done that on the Isochain yet, or in general, like even doing a yielding isometric exercise with a dumbbell oh my God, it is torture. You are on fire. You will get huge with that though. You will get huge with that though. Best way to check, just to see if I'm not full of crap or anything, is to measure yourself first. So I mentioned in the 8 Isochain training methods video. If you haven't seen that one, here's the link right here. It's probably getting annoying me doing that, right? But in that one, the last 2 training methods out of the 8, muscle capacity and endurance holds, those 2 training methods trigger a huge hypertrophic response, a huge one. Highly recommend checking that video out. I mean, you are going to be on fire with that. The second benefit is that, yes, you can get big with isometrics. It is just as good as dynamic exercise, weightlifting, putting things up and putting them down. Number 3, see, I almost put 2. Number 3, isometrics are efficient, time efficient. It saves time. This I found fascinating because when I was reading the isometric manual by Paul Wade, dude, you are my hero. You saved me 2020, dude. I love this book. I will always be referring to this book probably for life at this point. For efficiency, listen, you want strength or size? We need to recruit more muscle fibers. And we know from what we just talked about, 6 seconds, that magical number for maximal strength gain, 6 seconds, is the optimal amount of time to hold a contraction for strength. So let's say, for example, the bicep curl, right? If we talk about time under tension principles, okay? I'm not really focusing on hypertrophy right now, just basic time under tension principles. Performing a bicep curl isometrically on the Isochain for 6 seconds. Exert your squat for 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? 6 seconds. I wasn't really putting my all into that, 257. 6 seconds of that squat versus doing a dynamic barbell squat on the squat rack. All right, and let's just say I put 257, so let's just say I put 225 on the rack. 225, go down and come back up. No pause at the bottom or none of that extra stuff. Just down 1 second, up 1 second. 2 seconds total. I get the maximal contraction where? Where do I get it at? Here, right here, when I push back up from the bottom position. So whether you're doing ass to grass or just parallel squats, whatever, as soon as you get here and we gotta push back up this part right there, the initial launch phase for the concentric, that is where the most activation is. See, but with isometric, with that contraction, we only get that for what, 1/10 of a second before we start going back up, and it gets easier the higher we get until we return back to start position. If it's really tough for that 1/10 of a second, but it's a maximal contraction for 6 seconds on the Isochain, what does that say? That says, dude, we are reducing our waist factor by a factor of 5. We are 5 times more effective because we're getting that 1/10 of a second from here, doing it dynamically. That right here, that 1/10 of a second, we feel this maximal contraction. We're getting this feeling for 6 seconds versus 1/10 of a second. You understand what I'm saying? See how powerful that is? Since I started using the Isochain in October, I cut my gym sessions from 1 hour and 45 minutes, which is what I'm used to, and I was getting results with that pre-Isochain, to now 45 minutes, and I'm still getting results. I've cut a whole entire hour off my routine, but because I'm getting these isometric gains with the Isochain here, that's why I've still been able to increase. In fact, I've been increasing at a much faster rate, disregarding my knee issue, which is gone, by the way. But just disregarding that, I mean, it's been just as effective. So now I cut my 1 hour and 45 minute program to a 45-minute workout dynamically at the gym, and a 15-minute Isochain workout that I do daily. Amazing. It's more efficient. I'm actually working out less and getting more out of it. That is insane, but predictable because the science backs it up. The fourth benefit for isometric: injury is less likely to occur. Why? Because we're not moving. Why? We know that when injuries occur, where do they mostly happen? Joints, wear and tear. Yeah, you might get a muscle tear every now and then or a muscle sprain, but more often than not, it's a joint wear and tear issue. So there was a chronic or an acute type of injury. For me, it was an acute that became a chronic, well, was past tense. Breaking that down a little bit into the ridiculous, the load, so the amount of weight, or the momentum, the movement of the weight, or the load or the momentum of the force or stress to the muscle, tendon, or bone was too great. Something that we don't have to worry about with the Isochain because nothing's moving. We're static. Something else to think about: mechanical abrasion, right? So mechanical abrasion, for those that don't know, and it's okay. So think of like our joints. Every time we do a movement, right, there's a little bit of mechanical abrasion going on right here, okay? Mechanical abrasion, the heavier the load, the more mechanical abrasion. So think of it like if I had some sandpaper and I started sanding my wall. I'm not gonna sand my wall, but if I just pressed it here, when I took the sandpaper off, you'd see a little bit of residue on the wall. You know, I pressed a piece of sandpaper on there. Okay, so that's just if I did body weight squats. If I did a squat at 135, it'd be like going like this on the wall. If I do it with 225, if I do it with 315, 405, you know, I'm messing up my wall. I'm sanding down my joint. That's mechanical abrasion. It's cumulative, by the way. So the heavier the weight, the more damage is done. Okay, so what we do to combat that is static training with this. That's how we combat that. Strengthen our connective tissues. Ligaments are usually the first thing to go. Tendons being set, tendons are a lot strong. Tendons are like steel cables, but ligaments are usually the first thing to go. When I messed up my knee, the force, remember I told you, the load or the momentum. In my case, with my left knee, it wasn't really so much a load because I didn't have that much weight on me. I was doing dumbbell walking lunges like this. Okay, so I had 40 pounds in each hand. And right here, I felt it. It didn't feel like a big deal, but I knew it was later. This was about 3 years ago. The momentum was just wrong. It was wrong. It was too much. It was too much at that angle. It was just the wrong angle. It was too much momentum. I wanted to get out of there that day. I know. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It wasn't really the load. It wasn't heavy, but it was the momentum. And it was too much, and it caused damage. And it is gone now, though, with that. I mean, that's a whole nother video. Already made a video on that, by the way. Does that make sense? Injury is less likely to occur with isometric training. That is the fourth benefit. Now, the fifth benefit, the final benefit to isometric training, is that it can be performed more frequently. This is awesome. Check it out. Isometric training causes less micro trauma to the muscles. What does that mean? We get less sore from the workout, less likely to experience DOMS, so it's a faster recovery. I have not experienced DOMS yet since October 6th of 2020. I have yet to experience any type of delayed onset muscle soreness with the Isochain. I just simply have not. It doesn't produce micro trauma like that. It just doesn't. That's my personal experience so far with Isochain. I'm about 4 months in, so if anyone else has, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment sections below. Let me know. I like to hear different people's like experiences on this thing because it's so new. Now we know that daily is ideal for the Isochain, so we can get those, like the book said, superhuman gains up to 5% a day, which is still just dumb in a good way. But what does that mean? We can recover in under 24 hours. Unlike with DOMS, like say I just like earlier today, I just hit legs on leg day 2. Now that I can finally do leg day 2 because Isochain fixed up my knees. Yo, I'm back in there. I'm not hitting legs until, well, I'm hitting legs Tuesday, but I couldn't hit legs tomorrow. We know this because right now they're in repair mode. Like I was already trembling walking out of the door earlier today. Like I already know. But with the Isochain, and I still got to do my workout in a couple hours, I won't have to worry about that. It just won't create micro trauma like that. Does that mean that it's not effective? Hell no, it's effective. Movement under load causes sarcomere damage. We know that sarcomeres allow the muscles to contract, and that movement under tension causes the micro trauma and the soreness. There is no movement under stress because there's no movement, just the stress. AKA no crazy sarcomere damage, AKA no micro trauma, AKA we could just focus on the strength. So we still get the strength gains just without the bull crap, just without the DOMS. What does that mean? Faster recovery. We still get the gains, and again, we can still train hypertrophy style with the Isochain. Like what is there not to love? Should we replace dynamic movement, isotonic movement in the gym with isometric completely? The short answer is no, and I have a video on that right here. So I highly recommend watching that if you want to know more in detail, but the answer is no. Personally, I think you should do both. My personal opinion. Those are the 5 benefits to training isometrically. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. Go ahead and comment. If you're not yet part of No Limit Squad, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Come join the squad with us. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.